Belts to
You are Locked On Illini, your daily podcast on the Illinois Fighting Illini. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
welcome one, welcome all. Is my camera working or not? I need someone to let me know in the chat if the camera is working. I apologize. All right. There we go. All right. Okay. So rough start for me, but not a rough start for the Illini today. Welcome to Locked On Illini. Thank you all so much for making us your first listen each and every day. And thank you so much for making the Locked On Sports Network the number one network in the world. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. My name, of course, is Sonny Verma, your host here at Locked On, where I continue to provide you coverage daily, sometimes twice a day. Sometimes you'll get 3 videos a day. I think it's 3 videos today, if I recall correctly. And it's just nice to have these sort of games. I mean, talk about a stressful couple weeks for this Illini basketball team, right? Let's be honest. We're talking about it started with Purdue going into Mackey Arena and having Keaton Wagler put up 46. And then you follow that up with Nebraska last Sunday. You come out with another impressive win. And then we all know that you have the big matchup coming up on Saturday evening against the Michigan State Spartans, who I think we're probably going to end up talking a little bit about later on. Because quite honestly, it's hard to talk much about this game. This is a 40-point blowout for the Illini against the Northwestern Wildcats. But that's kind of what you needed for this game. Tell me if I'm wrong. I know there's a lot of stress going into the Breslin Center on Saturday. We've seen the type of physicality that Michigan State's playing with. And I think one of the worst case scenarios was going to be, us on edge a little bit. And in spite of Illinois winning by 40 points, and how many times can I say they won by 40 points? There's something I got from this game, which I do think is what we needed going into Saturday. And what I think that the Brad Underwood and the coaching staff has been preparing this basketball team for. And maybe I should start with the statistics, but we all watched that game. That game was over maybe 12 minutes into that game. It was a fight up until 9 minutes in, and then afterwards that game was over. But what I liked about this particular game was the chippiness. Right? I mean, this Illinois team, again, let's just get the stats out of the way real quick just to get them out. Illinois shot 28 of 58 from the field, 58%, made 17 of 38 from three-point land, almost broke the record. I think we were, one short? By the way, need a Ken Palm update if you guys have one. But the number that sticks out to me, total rebounds, Illinois 50 to Northwestern 23. I mean, when you talk about, this was it. RM nails it right here. This was a Globetrotters versus Washington Generals type of basketball game. And again, I don't hate Northwestern like a lot of fans do. Of course, they're a natural rival or whatnot. To me, they're so little brother-y that it's hard to hate them. Obviously, I want Illinois to beat them all the time. But man, today was just an impressive win. Okay, let me finish this real quick. 11 from 14 from free throw percentage, 17 of 38. Key is, of course, the rebounding. Illinois set the tone early, and Keaton Wagler with that not even half court, 3/4 court shot at halftime kind of sealed the game. When guys are making shots like that, the game is over. Okay, but let me get to the point I wanted to make. And this is not so much about the game. We can get to the game in the second segment. There's still that reputation amongst other fan bases, including, I talked about this against Purdue, about the toughness factor of this basketball team and whether you can punch them in the face. It's one thing on the basketball court. Skill-wise, there's not many teams that are going to go toe-to-toe when it comes to skill against the Illini, right? Maybe 2-3 teams I can think of at the top of my head. Oh, I loved it. Serena says climbing D ranking on Ken Palm up to 20. Let's go. But today, you saw Northwestern and you saw Tomi Mirkovic get a little chippy, and you saw Andrej Stojaković get a little chippy, and I think that's by design. Brad Underwood, he's not going to let his team overlook this Northwestern team, right? This was in no way a trap game, despite some people, and I may have mentioned it too. That trap game comes up just because it's sandwiched in between Nebraska and Michigan State on Saturday. But you can tell that they are preparing. And even if Brad is locked in and focused on Northwestern, these players know what they're going up against when it comes to Michigan State. They know the chippiness. They know what's going on with Jeremy Fears Jr. and the cheap shots that they're taking. And they know they're going to face that on Saturday against the Spartans. And today, to me, I mean, I'm going to do my preview show tomorrow with Matt Sheehan on Locked On Spartans. But if you don't feel good about that game on Saturday right now, I'm not sure what to... And I'm not going to sit here and try to jinx us. I mean, I'm the opposite of that. I'm usually Mr. Negative. But the one thing I've been very concerned about is how this team is going to handle tough environments and tough pressures. And, you know, when the crowd is screaming in your ear. Illinois went into Mackey Arena and they won. They went into Pinnacle Bank Arena and they won. So the environment is no longer a factor for me on whether I think Illinois is going to get intimidated by those raucous crowds. The other thing that's still kind of there is the physicality. And, you know, it's not a fun way to play basketball, but that's just what Michigan State has always done. You know, you're talking about being more physical. Michigan State, and I hope I'm not offending anyone, if there's one or two Spartans fans who are going to drop into the postgame, they're not, despite their success, they're not usually all that more talented than the rest of the Big Ten, or maybe the top tier of the Big Ten Conference. But they've got Tom Izzo, who's always in the refs' ears, and they play with a chip on their shoulder constantly. And that's just something Tom Izzo has always been very good at instilling in his players. And so what I was afraid of, now that I'm not afraid of what Breslin Center is going to be like, if that's going to be too intimidating for this Illini team, the concern was, okay, what if Jeremy Fears tries to crotch kick Keaton Wagler, or there's a trip here or there? How's this team going to stand up? You know, we think they are. We've seen the way this team unites around Keaton Wagler. And I know that's been a popular storyline over the past couple of weeks, or maybe the past week or so. But seeing David and Tomi willing to chirp back at the Northwestern Wildcats, right? That shot that Page took on Stojaković was a clear, blatant foul, aggressive to over-the-top type of foul. And so when Tomi makes his basket and comes back, he doesn't even come back. He just sits there and he chirps at the other guy. I want to see that, because that's kind of a glimpse of what you're going to go up against on Saturday. They're going to be screaming at you. And this Illini team, they just scream back. And in the process, they splash three after three after three.
I'm Kalia Butler, host of Locked On Women's Basketball, and this is Mazda's Women's Basketball Snapshot, celebrating the work no highlight reel can ever capture. Number 1 ranked UConn dominated Tennessee 96-66, turning a halftime tie into a historic win and avenging last season's loss by delivering the largest margin in the rivalry's history. AZ Fudd had 27 points and Sarah Strong added 26 as the Huskies remain perfect on the season, reminding everyone why they are the reigning national champions. In the Big Ten, number 2 UCLA rolled past number 8 Iowa 88-65, powered by 22 points from Angela Dukelich and a huge advantage in the paint, staking their claim as a national threat. These moments are earned off the clock, those long before the lights ever come on. The sweat, the fakes, the doubt, the scrapes, and coming back for more every time. Mazda puts that same drive into every detail. Wins define the moment, putting in the work, that defines you. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you.
All right, let's talk about the team in general for a little bit. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys finished in double figures. Stojaković, I think you had to have a Stojaković game today. This is the type of team that I talk about, Stojaković kind of, sort of dominating, right? And Jason's correct. We got 99 in here and only 20-something likes, so that math is not mathing. Stojaković is one of those aces you have in your back pocket. When you're playing against mid-tier teams, you don't need the other guys to perform the way they do, to perform to their normal levels. It just so happens that today, the rest of the team performed and you got a good Stojaković game. And when that happens, you guys got a glimpse of what this team looks like. Not only were they very impressive offensively, again, they shot 48% from the field, almost 45% from three-point land, 17 of 38. But was there a better defensive performance this season than what they just put out today? They only let Northwestern score 44 points, and the last 5 minutes, you had the end of your bench in that game. Yes, we had a Mihajlo Petrovic sighting today as well. He got in for 6 minutes, got 2 assists, and that's the end of the Petrovic conversation. You guys get weird about that. But Stojaković, 17 points, 4 of 8 from the field, shot 9 of 10 from the free throw line. And how aggressive was he? We're going to need that, right? This is what I'm trying to talk about in this episode. When it comes to the chippiness, the physicality, Andrej Stojaković is a guy who can see 2 guys in the paint and not shy away from it. And it's that type of mentality that I think this Illinois team needs come March. I feel more confident that we have it. Every day I get more confident. Tonight, even in a 40-point win, that's something I feel more confident in seeing. Again, Tommy, David chirping at the Wildcats. Then you have Andrej Stojaković going. He battled the rim, 3 times? He missed 2 of those dunks, but finally got one at the end of the game. And had he dunked that first one in that first half, and I know you guys know which one I'm talking about, Northwestern might have just conceded at that point, right? I mean, the roof was ready to get blown off at that point. But Stojaković led the team with 17 points. And you had Keaton Wagler with another quiet game. Keaton's worst game in a very long time. In a few weeks, maybe a month, it was Keaton's worst game. By the way, he had 13, 7, and 5 in a game that he's played 30 minutes. Again, maybe that's a little too high for me, 30 minutes in a game that you won by 40. But you know what Brad Underwood's doing. Brad Underwood, understandably, he's got to play the metrics. And so he's got to get that offensive rating up, and he's got to get that defensive rating up, which, again, someone updated me already. Ken Palm is in the top 20 now. You need that. Why do you need that? Because you have 3 losses in the season. Yes, you've won 12 straight. You've looked very impressive during that stretch. And if you beat Michigan State on Saturday, you got Wisconsin, I believe, after that. You're going to continue to shoot up those rankings. But you know what? A 2 seed would be really nice in the NCAA tournament. You know what would be nicer? A 1 seed. And because you already have 3 losses, look, Arizona, they haven't lost yet. Some of these teams only have 1 or 2 losses. It's going to be a battle to get one of those top 4 seeds. If you get that top seed, you get that St. Louis, Indianapolis, Chicago bracket. And we know how important that is. I mean, Illinois fans are going to travel regardless. But only having them travel, 90 miles in a triangle is going to make things even more advantageous. March Madness is all about the environment. That's what people think of when they think of March Madness. And we all saw it during the national championship run about 25 years ago for the Illini, how important it can be to have home court. And Illini right now, Brad Underwood, I know it drives us crazy when Stojaković got hurt at the end of the game. Yeah, okay, you know, the Talk Illini Discord was like, all right, take the starters out, take the starters out. And I think Brad at that point was like, okay, I should probably take the starters out. But if you're curious why, it's because yet the number 1 offense in the world is fantastic. And that's something you hopefully want to maintain. I don't know if it went up after today. You guys let me know. I'm trying to take a look. Points, I'm sure it went up. They averaged 1.35 points per game. I hope you guys understand that stat. Points per possession. You usually want to get somewhere above 1.0. Okay, if you're 1.1, you are a really, really good basketball team. The fact that this team tonight was a 1.35 just kind of gives you an idea of how dominant this performance was. Because again, they got that 1.35 and they only allowed 44 points on the other end. This is as complete of a performance as you can get. And again, that 40-point win, it matters, whether we like to admit it or not. Uncle Phil is exactly right. The Elite Eight games in Chicago has a wild history. Can you imagine? That's right. St. Louis to Chicago to Indy. Did I swap that up? I apologize. But just seeing this team perform the way they did today, getting that 40-point victory, something that you didn't have to sweat out, right? I got to sit back and watch that Michigan State game beforehand. Michigan State lost. Look, Michigan State has lost 2 in a row now. They're going to... Saturday is a must-win for the Spartans. They have to win. Otherwise, their hopes for the Big Ten are completely gone. And they're going to come in chippy. And the fans are going to be loud. But this Illinois team, they didn't have to show much on offense. If anything, imagine Izzo and that Michigan State team looking over the tape from today. The most complete performance that they've had all season. And that's what... I come on here night after night on these post-game lives saying this team is getting better. 12 in a row. Chuck, who I think is in the comment section, keeps calling me out for it. Like, when Kylan Boswell got hurt, I thought it was time to kiss away the opportunity to win the Big Ten Conference. I was clearly wrong, and I've admitted I was wrong. Now, I was right. I did say that with Kylan out, the offense would get better, and that's also happened. And hopefully Kylan can get back sooner rather than later, because right now we are a thin team. If there's one flaw on this team, maybe not flaw, but a weak spot, it's that right now we're only running 7 guys. We have our starters, and then we have Ben Hummerkaus and Big Z. Outside that, we're not playing anybody. And so we are one more injury away to, potentially being in trouble. And so, just running 7 guys, having Kylan Boswell back, who looks like, he doesn't have a cast on his hand, so I'm hoping he's coming back sometime soon. Maybe in a couple weeks. Maybe he's ready to go by that Michigan game. But there's a great point. Phil says, Kylan's the tough, gritty guy we'll need when we get in a sloppy, ugly game. That's coming eventually. We kind of got a glimpse of that today. That's kind of my point. We're really going to see it on Saturday. And now it's going to be like, what kind of adjustment does Kylan make coming back to this Illini team, who is so in sync? And again, day by day, they're just getting better. This offensive performance, very impressive. Maybe their best of the season, but notice I said maybe their best of the season, because we've had a lot of those. It's the defensive side today. They literally just squeezed the will out of the Wildcats today, to the point where 10, 11 minutes in, the Wildcats looked like they wanted to hop back up the highway and go back to Evanston. And that's what's important, right? Anytime you look at the metrics, Illinois qualifies to be a national champion in every single one. The one weakness they tend to have is their defensive metrics aren't as high as their offense. And are they going to play defense like today every night? No, absolutely not. But if they can continue to get better, and with Kylan, they will get better. Today, Jake Davis didn't have a good game. Besides that insane three-pointer he made earlier on in the game, he went 3 for 11 from the field, 3 of 10 from three-point land, which is a good thing, because what's coming Saturday. Hopefully, I'm saying that facetious. I don't want to misconstrue myself as getting cocky about Saturday. I just really like this basketball team. Let's get to your guys' comments right after this. It's going to be 2 ads, okay? I got to make some money. Hiring isn't just about finding someone willing to take the job. It's about finding the right person with the right background who can actually help your business move forward. And if you want candidates who match what you're looking for, Indeed sponsored jobs is the move, because instead of hoping the right person stumbles across your post, Indeed helps you match with quality candidates by boosting your job listing to the people who fit your specific criteria, like skills, certifications, and location. If I'm going to be hiring, I wouldn't want just someone who can help. I'd want someone with the real experience who can jump right in. It saves time because you're spending less energy sorting through mismatches. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours have made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help you get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, do it the right way with Indeed. There's nothing like being in an NBA arena. The crowd, the energy, the moment. Getting tickets, though, that part hasn't always been so simple. That's why Game Time has become the go-to app for scoring tickets fast without the hassle. It puts the advantage back where it belongs, with the fans. Love seeing the all-in price up front, no surprise fees at checkout. Zone deals, they stand out. Choose a section, Game Time picks the seats, and you save. Also, you get great last-minute options too, with NBA tickets showing up at solid prices. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. That's LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today, and remember, it's gametime.co, not .com. All right, welcome back. Hey, by the way, it just hit me. This is victory number 20 for the Illini. Brad Underwood does it again. This is, 7 straight years? I'm sure the stat's coming up somewhere at this point. So congrats to Illinois. I think we're one of, the 2 or 3 programs in the country that have won 20 straight games for, I think it's 6 or 7 years. But this is what I wanted to talk about in this segment. Stop says, if we win Saturday, people are going to start talking about the Michigan game like it's the Natty. Honestly, it might bring as many eyeballs as a Seahawks versus Pats Super Bowl, especially now with this Jeremy Fears drama. There's going to be a lot of eyes on this game. Look, Illinois just broke a record, last Sunday? They were the most watched game on Sunday on Fox Sports 1 against Nebraska. I got in a little trouble on social media because it was funny to me that Nebraska fans were trying to take credit for that stat. And then I kind of showed them that last year, Illinois was involved in 2 of the highest watched games. I mean, this fan base is rabid, right? But yeah, I mean, you're at the point now where you're 20-3. If you're able to take care of Michigan State, and this is a big if, don't get me wrong, you're going to have to earn every minute of that victory at the Breslin Center on Saturday. But then, you've got to match up against Wisconsin. And let's be honest, Wisconsin's got a very good offense. And on their good nights, Wisconsin can beat you. How do I know that? Because Wisconsin beat Michigan. On their really good nights, Wisconsin can beat anybody in the country. Because offensively, they're one of the few teams, and I'm trying to think of another one. They're one of the few teams that can keep up with Illinois when they're hitting the three-point shots. Greg Gard, he's just a flat-out very good coach. But you take care of those games, and then you just have that looming Michigan game coming up in about 3 weeks or so. By the way, I'm going to try to make that game. I already have my Airbnb booked. If anyone out there has an extra ticket, hit your boy up. But yeah, I mean, the conversation is getting serious now, and you kind of hear Brad Underwood trying to downplay it, and I think that's by design. After the last game, I think it was Jeremy Warner from Illini Inquirer asked him, hey, talking about what the ceiling is for Keaton Wagler. Should he be considered player of the year? And what's the ceiling for this basketball team? And he didn't want to answer that question. He's like, it's too early to talk about it. I think he realizes that what he said in the offseason, if you guys recall, he said that this it was at a donor meeting. And I think I put an episode out about this during the offseason. He said that with Coleman Hawkins and Terrence Shannon Jr. sitting in front of him, he said that the team that he was coaching had the potential to be the best team that he's ever had. But I don't know if Brad believed it at the time. But his reaction now makes me think he does. Makes me think that he kind of now does realize that this could be a very special group. I've watched basketball for 30 plus years at this point. And when it just comes to pure offense, I don't know if there's a better offense that I've ever seen, both NBA or college, right? And it's not even like a fast-paced offense. In fact, it's the opposite. Tyler Underwood, Brad Underwood, they've traded, the run and gun, let's just shoot threes, for let's just basically, like an anaconda, just keep passing the ball around until we take a wide open three or a layup. And I've been meaning to dedicate an episode to this. Maybe I'll do it this week, because I know a lot of people are talking about this offense. But it's one of those where it's not fast paced. It's just, we're just going to score now. It's just making sure they take the best shot every single time. It's not aggressive. They're super patient. They don't mind being patient. And they have the perfect guy running it. Keaton Wagler. I mean, the incredible part about this game is the score was something like 77-31 with 3 minutes left. And Northwestern at the time had one turnover. They had a single turnover and they were down 40-some points. It's all by design, right? Illinois simply knows that they're going to be the better team more often than not. And if they try to foul you, you have a shot to get into the bonus, get to shoot extra free throws, and then you get an advantage by getting free points. Illinois is not going to give you free points. And on the other end, they're just going to score. They're going to score, and they're going to score some more. But all right, I'm having a rough day audio-wise, so I'm going to end it here. Let me know your thoughts on the game. I've got another episode coming up for you tomorrow, and then I'm going to do the crossover episode with Locked On Spartans. Me and Matt Sheehan, we have a really good time every single time. So on your way out, please make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribed to the video. Until next time, appreciate each and every one of you. Sorry for the rough night. ILL. Love you guys.